Hello and welcome to another Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary. Pleased to meet you. Please like, share and subscribe if you like my content. I have a link to a Telegram channel of the same name, same spelling. Please join that. It's an open access channel where you can leave comments in boxes, and it has lots of lovely information there. Stuff that can't go on the internet via YouTube. Telegram is a fairly free channel, and so we can generally say and post what we like, which is in this day and age quite a rare thing. So welcome to my channel, everyone. Okay, today we're going to go a little bit different. We're going to be talking about the pendulum. It's something I've been doing for over 3 years now. A friend of mine gave me a pendulum as a gift. I think their higher self had been advised them that it was something I would be able to do, and I picked up the pendulum and it moved for me straight away. I was very lucky and very blessed, and since that time I have developed a relationship, which is what it is, with my higher self via the pendulum. The pendulum is only an inert object of anything you want to use. There's two very good YouTube card readers, tarot readers, that I see use a pendulum. One's Richard Cardinal. He always likes to use his to confirm what he's said. And Loved by Jenny Tarot, she also uses her pendulum sometimes because she reads cards upside down as well as upright. And so sometimes she needs that little bit of clarification of whether the card, because they actually jump out of her hands, or jump out of the pack even, amazingly so. And so she's able then to determine the true nature of the cards. Now, for me, my pendulum will not work in tandem with the tarot cards. I'm not sure why, but it just won't. And it's not happy doing so. So I'm not a very good tarot card reader, really, but I like to dabble. I think it's important that we look at all aspects of what could be, and any doorway into the possibility of the future that we can use. I think helps us, or certainly helps me with closing down my mind, knowing that things are coming, and seeing that there could be a bump in the road, and if you expect that bump or something coming, then you're forewarned, and so it gives me peace of mind. So it doesn't really matter what you use as a pendulum. Now, my higher self prefers metal. The original one I was given as a gift, I have actually gone out and found more of them, because my higher self, when I asked, gave a preference to that shape and design. So everybody's individual. I personally struggle to use crystal pendulums. I don't know why, but also I have a crystal bracelet, and my higher self does not like this on my wrist while we're doing the pendulum. So I'll actually take this off now. So if you are getting trouble with the pendulum and it's not really working, it could be because you've got a necklace on or something that it doesn't like, your higher self doesn't like, because crystals and precious stones are energy in themselves and can affect us around us, the field of Troidal, as it were. So I'm going to take mine off because my higher self doesn't like that. I'm okay with necklaces, but really doesn't like the bracelet for some reason. So there we go. Now, I keep my pendulum in a little bag, and inside is a crystal that I was given originally. There we go, little crystal. Hopefully you can see that, and the pendulum. So the crystal just keeps the pendulum company. So I've worn a black top today, so you can see quite clearly, there we go, the pendulum and the shape. Pendulums come in all sorts of shapes. You don't have to purchase one. A bolt on an end of a piece of string will do. I've actually taken my shungite necklace off, one of my, which I wear regularly, and I will show that you can move anything. It doesn't have to be metal, it doesn't have to be crystal, it can be anything on the piece of string that can be moved easily, and so we'll look at that in a second. Okay, now the pendulum, the reason why it doesn't matter is because it's just a conduit. It's a way of focusing your higher self's energy, I believe, via a tool to help communication. Now, not everybody gets a good response with the pendulum straight away. Sometimes it takes quite a while for you to get the knack and get that pathway going. Now, it is a pathway, and if you have not trod that path for a very long time, there's going to be a lot of weeds and such like on the path. And so through trying regularly and practicing and mindfulness of that, you can open that pathway up like you can anything in this reality, in this realm, and create that pathway to your higher self. Now, I'm talking about the higher self, or source, as I like to call it, and I believe, and we can ask the question later from the pendulum, that our higher self or source is actually us. It's our connection to our immortal us. The energy, the soul, if you want to call it that way, but it's our connection to that, and it's part of our journey, as in the tarot of the Fool's journey, of travelling through this realm, having the experience. But we're never alone. We're never alone because we always have our higher self with us, and also spirit guides. I'm not able to see spirit guides. Some people are. I can't see auras either. Many of my friends can, which is a wonderful gift to have. But I have a very, very strong connection to my higher self or source, to the extent where I even know the name of my higher self. And again, you must never divulge your name of your higher self, because it can, or somebody could, knowing that name, remove your connection from your higher self. So these are certain things that we don't ever do. Now, before I use the pendulum, I always do a protection, and I just bless myself and the creator and the source, and I say a few incantations of a silver shield to protect me, the white light of infinity that comes from within. Remember, the light chases the dark, so it's an internal power that we have, and if we're mindful of it and we invoke it, then we have it. In this realm, it won't make us a liar. So if we say something is so, and we trust and believe in that, then that is so, and it will be. Because we are going into the woo land when we do pendulum, really. I then ask for the golden crown of knowledge, so I don't ask silly questions, which often I do, and protection generally from any other entity or energy around me, and then I get going. Now, we are going into the woo here, and you are going into your higher self, and if you're in a place that is not a good place, as in physically, like a location of a haunted house or something like that, that's got an energy that can affect your pendulum and yourself, so be mindful of this. A lot of tarot readers, before they do the tarot cards, you won't always see it, but Richard Cardinal certainly does. He will light his dragon's breath, and he will say a little incarnation of protection and love, and then he'll do the cards, and he's just clearing the energy. So I would advise that to be done always. Now, I'm waffling. So the pendulum, or your higher self, The questions you ask can be loud, as in verbal, like I am, or you can ask the questions in your mind. Either way, it doesn't matter, because when you're thought of what you want to say, your mind has already thought of that process, and your higher self is you, so it knows what you're going to ask. Often, even before you ask the question, when you get better at the pendulum, it will swing before you've even asked the question, because it knows where you're going and it knows what you're asking. But that takes practice and a good connection. It doesn't happen overnight, so don't get frustrated if something doesn't happen straight away. It can take time. My partner's got divining rods, the rods where they can find water and bits and pieces, and she picks them up and they'll swing round like a helicopter blade. I pick them up, they don't move. They will not move, and it doesn't matter what I do or try, they just won't move. So if the pendulum doesn't work for you, there may be other systems out there like divining rods that do work for you if you're really interested and want to try these things. Just because one element of what you're trying, one system isn't working, doesn't mean that none will. We all have a connection to source, we all have a connection to our higher self, and it's just about finding what your higher self wants from that connection to talk to you in the way it can. So anyway, questions that you ask your higher self is autistic, literal. There is no ambiguity. You ask a question that's open-ended, you will get an open-ended answer or the wrong kind of guidance. It's as simple as that. This is really important. You must, and it's very important, ask specific questions that are not open-ended and are very clear and closed. And then that way you will get better responses, and over time, as you build a relationship, you then get to know when you've asked a question that's not actually quite right. So now I normally, when I hold the pendulum, put my hand below, and I did this initially so that I could see a movement. So here we go, that it's moving already, and it's just showing it's a yes. So pendulums answer differently. Now my friend Richard, for yes it goes forward like this, and I'm moving my hand to make it do that, and for no it will do this. Okay, my pendulum's slightly different, so I'm actually going to try and hold my arm steady, so you can see that it's not. So please show me a yes. And there we go, that's a yes. So it's going clockwise for me for a yes. Please show me a... There's more to ask. Now, I have 4 modalities or answers on this thing, and if I'm asking questions and my higher self wants me to ask more so I can learn more, I get a please. I get it going backwards and forwards like this, and this is my please ask more. You're kind of on the right track, but there's more to come out of this. Then please show me a no. And again, I'm not moving my hand, I'm not trying to stop it, so it's a no please pendulum. What it's showing me at the moment is the won't answer, can't answer. So it goes crossways for me when it doesn't want to answer. So at the moment my higher self is saying, no, I don't want to show you no. It's not appropriate. Now please show me no. Let me stop that. Show me a no. Thank you very much. And the no is anti-clockwise. So sometimes I can ask a question and I'll ask it in the reverse. So I'll make the pendulum have to go yes and no to the same question. In that way it gives me clarification 100% that it is. Also with my pendulum, with my relationship, is as it swings, the more it swings, the stronger the answer is yes. And actually if it swings and hits my arm, like it just did then, so it swung and hit my arm, that's 100% yes. If it swings a tiny bit, and just show a tiny little swing, please. Thank you very much. That means I'm kind of right, probably only 10-20%. I'm on the right track potentially, or I'm not really quite right, but I'm close enough. And so the angle of the swing that I get, so if it comes out here and hits my arm, which is why I hold it on my hand so it doesn't swing like a helicopter blade, is 100%. And then as it goes down, in the percentage wise, you can see that would be 50%, 20%. And if it doesn't move at all for me, it means either it really does not want to answer the question about what I'm asking, or there is no information to be had. And it's not a case of it won't, as in it swings this way, it just won't. And so this has taken 3 years of development with my higher self to get this system going. And often when I'm asking questions these days, I will get knowings, inklings. You could call them downloads, you can call it whatever you want, but I'll suddenly get a little spark of, oh, and then I'll ask the question from that spark of a knowing or a bit of knowledge that's come through from the Akashic records, the ether, my higher self, whichever way you want to put it, and then I can actually answer the question in a better way, and it will give me information. Another thing that happens often when I'm doing the pendulum and hold my arm up is I get a huge shoulder ache on this arm as the energy flows through, and sometimes the palm of my hand will get hot and vibrate as well as the energy flows through. It doesn't always happen, it happens sometimes. Now, you've seen the pendulum working, this is my higher self's preferred one, but I can also, I've got my necklace, which is a shungite, and please show a yes on the shungite. And there we go. So it doesn't matter what you use, your higher self will, if you can, get it. But I do prefer the metal, and so does my higher self. I actually asked my higher self to show you this using something it doesn't like to. So thank you, higher self. Now, so we can then ask questions, okay? So a very simple one would be, in the earth realm, am I known as Gary? And there we go. I get a yes, and it actually hits my arm and then wiggles around and stops. Okay? On the earth realm, in previous incarnations, or vibrational frequency, was I always known as Gary? No, I wasn't. So you can use the pendulum in this way. These are two very simple questions that I've asked, okay? And if you notice between the questions, it was giving me encouragement. Should I carry on asking more questions? Yes. It really wants me to. Strongly. You know. So we could ask, I don't know, is there going to be a revaluation of the monetary system in this realm? I hit straight away. It's a big yes. And that follows on to the cards that are being pulled by Richard Cardinal and Loved by Jenny Tarot, and other readers as well, who are very, very good and switched on. So as you can see, you can ask questions. Now sometimes, can I ask a question? Now this is another thing that there are rules to reading. Say there's somebody that you fancy and you want to know if they fancy you back. There's no way your higher self can know that. And the pendulum or your higher self wants to please you. Okay? So does the pendulum want to please the person who asked the questions? 100%. Okay? It's hitting my arm. It really is. It really wants to. Now, you have to program your higher self or have an agreement with your higher self. So, do you please me all the time under my request. So if I request something that's to please me, will you give me that pleasure? No, it won't. Because I've asked it not to. I've asked it to be true and honest in what it says and does. It's very key. So, silly question, but does Donald Trump fancy me? And my pendulum says it's not going to answer, and that was a stupid question. Because it couldn't know, and it wouldn't know. And I've got an agreement with my higher self that it only ever says or answers to me that it knows. And that's very important, because you can end up going round and round in circles, getting nowhere. So this is a tool to connect to your higher self. It's a conduit that allows you to have a conversation or a relationship with your higher self. And as I'm talking, it's saying more, it likes it. Okay. Now, in the future, I may do some pendulum readings. It's up to you guys if you want me to. But somebody who I would highly recommend watching his videos is a guy called Raymond Grace. Now, Raymond Grace uses his pendulum for all sorts of things, and he opened my eyes. So not only do we have the ability to talk to our higher self and communicate with our higher self, we also have the ability to change things around us via intention. And the pendulum is just a way to concentrate our energy in a way that tricks us into believing that we can and have something. So it's a physical, visual way of looking at something. Now, Raymond Grace has taken this to a new level, and he's amazing. Now, Raymond Grace has actually used his pendulum to clear and clean contaminated water, and how he's done it is via his mind and intention. Because if you don't know you can't do something, and you ask the question of the pendulum and you ask it to do something, it will do it, because you don't know that you can't do it. So as we grow up in life in this realm, we're educated, and the education is not to open our minds, but it's to close our minds. And so using the pendulum, if you can unlearn the mind control, the MK Ultra mind control that we've all been subject to, it then allows you to open up more and more possibilities. The pendulum can also be used as a tool for healing, as well as looking at many other things that are available to the mind. I really suggest you look at Raymond Grace, because pendulums have also been used for demonic entities and removing energy out of people that is not beneficial. Just as you can remove something, you can add something. So you can use the pendulum to add love to yourself. Now, the other thing is with Raymond and using water, what struck me at the time when I came across him was that we are made up of water. We are mostly water. And so if one man can affect an entire lake or an entire river course and clean that water up, or a well that had arsenic in it, and the arsenic is removed from that well, and it was scientifically proven that he did so, because the well was checked and then checked after it had a go, and then checked after it had another go, and by the end of I think 3 goes, the well water was pure and clean to drink. And the only thing that had happened to that water was his intention using the pendulum. So we are water, and we can therefore affect ourselves and others. Not that I promote that, only in a positive way, that we can then affect and change our own selves in love, light and blessings and high vibrational frequencies by changing the water within ourselves and in our cells to make ourselves better, stronger, more resilient, and if you're feeling unwell or if you've got an ache or pain, you can use a pendulum on that and on your partner and on your pets, and it's a really, really valid way with results that I've seen that work. So hopefully that wasn't too boring. It's just a very brief overview of the pendulum. Respect it because it's your higher self connection. It's not a toy to be played with, and it is the real thing, and it's something that really does work. And please try. Please, you don't have to spend a lot of money on a pendulum. I mean, Raymond Grace uses a bullet on the chain, literally a bullet on the chain. The guy's just amazing. But please, if you fancy it, get a piece of string and a bolt or a nut or something that's metal on the end and start practicing. You don't need to spend any money. And it's a really good way of you connecting to your higher self and then being able to ask questions that may be affecting you or things that come up. I see it no differently to reading a tarot card. It's just a more direct way of doing so. Thank you very much. I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget, I have a Telegram channel, which is an open access channel where there's lots of other information about all sorts of amazing things. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Blessings and thank you very much. Bye.